Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Egizia. Let's check it out. To set up for the game, what you're going to do is you're going to be shuffling these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 cards and deal out the 1, 2 cards right across here on the board where you see the areas where the little card spaces are. You're going to shuffle the statue deck and you're going to deal out an A, a B, and then a random A or B here and have 3 there. By the way, this is a double-sided board. The other side is for a 2-player game. You're going to shuffle the Sphinx deck and give out 2 cards to each player. They're going to pick one and then put the other one at the bottom of the deck. You're going to choose from one of these yellow or purple tokens here randomly and put the yellow one here on the yellow outline column and the purple one here on the purple outline column. You're going to shuffle these little Nile tiles here that you'll put out in the next round, and then each player is going to start with their own player board. They're going to start with 4 workers. Their leader is purple and he's going to start 2. The rest of them will start at a strength of 1. They're going to have all of their starting ships and bricks of their color. They're also going to put one of their bricks on both the stone and the grain track. And each player is going to randomly choose one of these, and this is going to decide what turn order you go in. And depending on what turn order you're going in, depends on how much brick you have. It'll be your turn order plus 1. So for instance, if I was going first in the game, I would start with 2 brick. Second place would start with 3 brick, and so on and so forth. So you're also going to have this little 50 to 100 track marker here if you pass the board more than once. You're also each player starting with their starter cards of quarry and grain. These can be upgraded, and even though it doesn't say in the rule book, it is one of these yellow tokens, not this one, but one of them in the bag that will help you upgrade these. But that's not said in the rule book. It's just said on the description of those yellow tokens. We took forever in the rule book trying to figure out what that meant by these being upgraded. How the game goes is fairly simple. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of your little ship tokens and you're going to place it anywhere down this Nile. And as you're placing it, you can only place in front of you. You can never place behind what you did. So for instance, if I took that card first, I couldn't go back and take that one or take this action. I'd have to go further down the river. So again, if I went there, or let's say I went here, I couldn't go back up here. Now another player who played here, they could go up here. It doesn't matter where I've been. They just can't play behind their last ship. So in another case, just like a lot of games, you're trying to run down this river to grab all the good cards, but you don't want to go too fast because you'll skip over a lot of other potential areas. You don't want to go too slow because maybe you'll miss some of the good areas. So the game moves on like that till everyone has placed out their ships, or they've made it to the bottom and they can't place out any more ships. And then you begin to resolve certain areas like the cards. If a player put their ship on the cards, they would grab those cards. If a player put their ships on these circle spaces here, they would resolve those circle spaces. Now, all the iconography is very easy. After the first round, you'll get it. But if you'll notice here, some of it just shows, and I'll just show a little bit of it, this shows upgrading different workers, these 2 types of crewmen, or this leader, and your irrigation ring. Forgot to mention your irrigation ring is over here in the corner here, and it decides what crops are getting irrigated so that they can harvest that round. It starts in the middle, but it can move up or down or up throughout the game, and the symbols that you have are the symbols that you saw right there. The little water token symbol, there it is, water token symbol right there, and that's on cards as well. So if you're looking at the cards here and the rest of the deck, you're taking all those and then you're going to do a harvest, and you're basically going to harvest in and retrieve all the quarry and wheat fields that you have. So for instance, I start off with 3 quarry, so I would have 3 extra rock that I would add on 1, 2, 3 onto my base there. Now if I had wheat fields, let's say I had this one and later on maybe I captured this one, I would get 11 wheat. Now the first thing you need to do is you need to feed your crew. And how do you feed your crew? Well, you just have to have enough as the strength of your crew. I showed you some upgrades on the strength of your crew, and what if I had placed on all those upgrades? I'd be up here right now. Well, how much grain would it take to feed my people? Well, he eats 3, and he's 2, 4, 6, because there's 3 of them there, but they're at level 2, so that's 2, 4, 6, and 3. I have to have a strength of 9. Now again, I told you, let's say I had these 2 cards here. I would have 11, I would be fine. Speaking about the cards real quick, some of these are things that you'll stay on. There'll be regular wheat or regular quarry fields. Some of them are immediate. If they say immediate, you immediately take that action. Like this one says, hey, upgrade any of your workers and move the irrigation field or ring. Some of them are permanent. They give you permanent actions in the game that you would keep with you. Some of them are both immediate, move up 1 on the stone track, and then permanent in a way, meaning you keep that as a field. Some are both a field and quarry there, which is kind of cool. And the other ones, the other type of card is an anytime card, meaning at any time you can cash this in for more wheat. Now, let's go back to my example here where I had 6. Let's say I had this wheat field 2 and I had 8, but I needed 9, so I am 1 wheat short. Well, what happens in that case? Well, then we have to look at the wheat field track, and I'm going to go over to the wheat field track here because it will show you if you are 1 wheat, however many wheat you are short in feeding your people, you're going to lose that many victory points. As you see here, it says 3 victory points. So if I was 1 short, I would lose 3 victory points. If I was 2 short, I would lose 6 victory points. Yikes, this can be very bad because as you know, that irrigation field can be moved and only certain crops can yield. So let me go back to the irrigation field down here and you'll see if it's at the bottom, then that means only the green cards would yield crops. So again, if I had, let's say, both of these cards and the irrigation was right here, only this one would yield grain, this one would not because it's not covered up here. This is how you can screw people in the game to lose a lot of victory points. Of course, it behooves you to go up here because that means all 3 fields, even the red fields, like this one here, would even grow grain as well. But of course, it's going to be a fight, constantly a tug-of-war on where this grain track is going to go. Anyway, going back to the food, like that, every time you upgrade your grain, you will move your brick up, and as you see, you're losing less victory points per grain you're missing. So for here, it's like 2. For here, it's -1 victory point. And when you get up here, you can actually cash in 3 extra grain for 1 victory point. You can never hold grain or store grain throughout one season or the other, but that's a good way to cash it in for some extra victory points if you're generating more grain than the strength of your men. Also, if you have to go up on the track, but you can't anymore, as you see, there's a little 2 there. That means you would get 2 victory points instead of moving up on the track. Same thing for the quarry. As you move up the quarry track, you'll just get more quarry. As you see, if you get here, you'll get 2. If you get at the top, you get 3 quarry. If you have to go any further up the top, you'll just get 3 quarry. But the cool thing is, at the end of the game, if you're at any of the top 2 spaces, you can cash in 2 of your rock for 1 victory point at the end of the game. So that's really neat. It's very important to get to the top of both those tracks if you can. All right, so now let's move on and let's talk about what happens next. All right, so after that, after you've fed everyone and gotten your rock, let's say I got 3 more rock here, I'm at 9 now. All right, then you go and use the various build actions. Now I should mention when you're placing ships there, it is the person on the outside who would go first, followed by second and third. Now, if a player wanted to place there but couldn't play a ship there, they can put one over here and it would be in reserve, meaning that if one of these ships decides, you know what, I don't have the quarry or the crew to build, so I'm going to back out, then they can come into that spot. If it was up here, let's say yellow backed out, then everyone would shift down and green would move back in. Now, if everyone did decide to build, then green is out of luck and he just wasted his ship. But that's what you can do. It prevents people from just playing there to block other players, is basically what it's there for. But that's how you resolve it from the outside in. So starting with yellow player or anyone, let's say, you know what, I'm doing this with green, so let's say green was the one who got first. Yeah. So green would get to build first. Now in this build area, you can build on the obelisk or the columns here. And the bricks that it takes to do are indicated on the actual board here. As you see, If I wanted to build a space here, a brick there, it cost me 1 brick. 1 brick. This would cost me 2 bricks. It gets higher and higher. Every time I build on the obelisk, though, I can go up one of those little wheat or stone tracks I showed you earlier. If you go above the 4 up to 5, then you get to go up both tracks whenever you build up there. Now down here on the column, you're just building across equal to your color there. And every time you build, it costs here 1, 1, or 2, or 2, or 3, or 3, or 4. And the reason why this is yellow and this is purple, it says, hey, don't forget this one-time bonus and this, once per round bonus that you get if you build to that area. So you can build these both at the same time. So for instance, let's say I wanted to build twice here and twice here. This cost me 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if I just wanted to build in the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that one cost me 4. And so 2 things would have to happen. First, I'd have to put the brick down. 1, 2, 3, and let's do 1 here. So that would be a total of 5 brick I'd have to spend because this one's a 2 there. Okay? Well, then I have to go over here, and there's a few things I have to do on my board. First off, I have to subtract 5 brick, so now I'm at 4 brick. And then I have to flip over any of my crewmen for a strength of 5. As you see, my leader is a 3, so I'll flip him over. But a leader cannot work on his own. So if it was a strength of 3, I couldn't just use my leader. If I'm using my leader, I have to use one of my crewmen. Well, of course I want to because I'm moving 5, and it doesn't matter to me. I'll use this guy. So now I got 5. Now let's say it was another round and I had to use, 5 quarry again. Let's say I had 5 here, and I had to use 5 rocks. So I used all my rock up. Or, let me see, I had to use 3 rock, let's say. That's a better example. I had to use 3. Well, that's a 2, and that's a 2. Well, that's 4. Do I get something back there? No, you get nothing back. No change is giving on workers. Now, once they're flipped over, they are done for the end of the round. Once you flip them back over, at the end of the round, you'll flip them back over, and then they're ready to work another day. So that's kind of why you want to strengthen your workers so they can carry more brick, and you'll be utilizing less people to carry brick. But you have to have the crew to carry the brick before laying it down. All right, so you need the brick and the crew to carry it. Once I get there, I would get my one-time bonus. If I built out 2 purple, let's say I did 2 more on purple, well then I would get that once per round bonus. Then the player would get this token, this raw token. Every time you use the once per round bonus, whatever it is, the instructions are very clear on which one's which, you'll flip this over to the closed eye, meaning you have used your one-time bonus for the round. And that's basically how that works. Now, the next build area right down here is the pyramids and these statues. The pyramids and the statues, as you see here, statues count basically for in-game points, and pyramids are scored as the rows are completed here. What you would do, of course, you would pay the cost. The only rule with statues is you can't build on the same statue twice in the same round. So for instance, this would cost me 1, 2, 2. That'd be 5 bricks total. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'd have to go get a strength of 5. No, you cannot build all on one card. You can build once on each of these cards per round if you wanted to. But that's about as much as I could do per round, is once on each card of the statue cards. Again, statue cards give you different points for different things. So for instance, it's very self-explanatory. Hey, Sphinx cards. If I have 6 or more Sphinx cards in my hand, I'm going to get 10 victory points. Now, what if I had 6 Sphinx cards in my hand, but I only had built up to here? Well, I'm not getting this victory points. I'm getting only the 5 victory points because I didn't build up to that statue. So again, these count for in-game points, but they are nice in-game points to grab. The next one is the pyramid. Basically, you build the pyramid from the base up, but you can also build it like a pyramid. So for instance, if I built 2, 2, and 2 there, I could actually build some 3s right here and right here because those are supportive of those 2 other bricks. I could build a 4 right here if I wanted to, but I couldn't build a 4 here because I had to build this up first before I could build here. And if I build up to here, then I could build this 5. So you can go that way or you can go across the way. But whenever you finish a row, whoever has the majority of bricks, and let's say in this case, I would have the majority, I'd get 5 victory points. We'd score that again here. But the thing is, if it's a tie, the person who played the last brick would score those victory points. Now, at the end of the game, you score this again. Whoever had the most victory points total on the pyramid would actually score 5 victory points. Again, if it's a tie, then both players would share the victory, and they'd both get 5 victory points. All right, the last building spot on your areas. Down here below, it's the Sphinx cards. Very simple here. As you see, you want to get in this topmost spot here. That's the most important. Let me bring a few more of these ships over here. Yeah, so you want to go here, then here, then here. It says max 5, max 3, max 2. That means the max amount of stone you can spend. For each stone you spend, you get that many cards. You get to look at those cards, choose one, keep it, and discard the rest. There are special abilities in the game that let you keep 2 Sphinx cards at a time, but usually it's just 1 Sphinx card at a time. For every card you have to discard, though, you do get victory points. So going here would basically garner you 4 victory points. This would garner you 2, and this would garner you 1, because remember, you can only keep 1 of those Sphinx cards. And the Sphinx cards are very easy. They give you goals throughout the game, and if you achieve them, you can play them and get the victory points. So for instance, if my guy holding this blue blanket is a strength of 5 or more, I get 3 victory points. Let me do one more here. Oh, this one. If I am top on both, if I reach the top of the grain and the stone track, then I would get 5 victory points. Again, very self-explanatory. But these are great. These give you extra bonus points in the game. There is an extra building bonus, like a co-op bonus. Building in 2 of the 3 docks is actually 2 victory points, and building in all 3 docks would give you a bonus 5 victory points. Now, once you've done the building phase, what you're going to do is you're going to clean out all of the unused cards. You're going to go ahead and deal out more from that next round. You're going to actually put out these tile Niles tokens and kind of switch up the board and how it's played, and then you'll do the same thing over and over. The person who has the least amount of victory points will go first for that round, and you keep playing until you get to 5 rounds. After the 5th round, you add up any of your statues, you cash in any stone that you have if you reach the top of that track, and you score the pyramid one more time, and whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, you know what? There's a ton of games kind of like this where, you know, you're picking places down the aisle. You don't want to go too far. You'll miss something. I'm reminded of Francis Drake when I think about this game. That's the first thing I thought about when I saw it. I was like, hey, it's like Francis Drake, but with pyramids. You know, Egyptian style here. And it's a fun game. Does it give anything new? No, not really, but it is enjoyable. I do enjoy the game. If you like Francis Drake or any games like that where you have to make decisions on where to go, I mean, to be honest, it's really tough. You're bantering with one another saying, I really want that. You don't want that. You don't want that. If they say that, they don't want it. They're hoping you'll get it so they can get something else later on down the river. And the thing is, you may have to. I mean, there was one time I wanted to make sure I got all 3 builds, so I just placed on all 3 builds. People are like, what? You only placed 3 ships and that was it? I went, yeah, I had to get those builds in because I had to get those points in. I mean, it's really good. It's actually a really fun one. Again, Francis Drake may be a little bit better. If you don't have Francis Drake, get Francis Drake. But this one's pretty fun. Now here, this is a reprint of an older game. I don't know what they changed in it. I don't even know what the older game was all about. Seems very similar to me, but this is a fun one. Nothing new here, but the fun factor is there. All right, gamers, that's all for now. Until next time, game on.